Come on in the room. I'm so excited. Come on, come on, come on. Hello, hello, hello. Come on and speak when you come in. We're going to have a wonderful discussion today about this crisis. I see you, Coco Star. Come on in, come on in. I have an amazing woman here who is going to talk to us about this crisis that we've gone through and everything that we are going through. I see Cheryl and Cece. Hi, ML Roel. We're going to be talking today. I'll give you just a moment to come in. And while you're coming in, go ahead and share this with someone. This is information that you need to know. Armika Wright and Minister Amanda Villette, I see you. This is information that you're going to need to know that I know you will benefit from. So welcome. Welcome to a discussion with the doctors. Minister Amanda, Lemetria, Charlotte Terry, how are you? Donna Wade, good to see you, and Mama Moses, blessing. So she is in the studio. Dr. Valentina is in the studio, so you would definitely hear her. We did have a little complication with her her audio, her video, but we definitely can hear her. So I'm gonna pray, and then I'm gonna talk about my portion first, and then I'm going to bring her into the studio, and we'll go ahead and move forward. Is that all right, Cheryl and Mama Moses, Lemetria? You all excited? Share this with someone and let them know that we are going to have a discussion with the doctors today. So, Father God, we thank you for this time of sharing. We pray that this meeting will be productive, that you would lead and that you would guide. In the mighty and matchless name of Jesus, we do say amen and amen. Thank you for sharing. Jerice, I love you and I thank God for you. So when we look at this, before we bring Dr. Valentina in, I just want to talk to you in brief about a crisis. And those of you all that know me, Villette and Cheryl, great, I'm glad you can hear, know that I have several degrees. I have a bachelor's, a master's, a doctorate in divinity, as well as a doctorate in organizational leadership. I'm doing some certification classes right now in mental health, but I am not licensed as of yet in that area. But Dr. Valentina is. And so we're going to bring her in just a moment to kind of discuss. I see you, Tasha. Yes, with the t-shirts, to kind of discuss a crisis and some crisis management. So let me give you some statistics before we get into the discussion, and then you'll have a chance, Baby Lock, to answer questions, okay? A crisis is a life event, all right, that one perceives as stressful to the extent that normal coping mechanisms are insufficient. That's what a crisis is. When we look at a crisis, that's what that is, Jerice. It's a situation or a traumatic event that changes us, and it produces significant cognitive or emotional stress. So hear me now. Robert Rogers, I love you more, doctor. So a crisis, the pandemic of the coronavirus has definitely evoked a crisis. All right, it's evoked a crisis. When you look at the stats, I want to show you a picture. I just looked at this last week, and the statistics about the coronavirus is as this. There have been 80.8 million diagnosed cases of coronavirus. In the that's worldwide. Now, in the United States, there have been 19.1 million diagnosed coronavirus cases. And then when you look at the deaths, oh my God, there have been 333,000 deaths. Now, understand that is as of last week. I know the numbers have gone up even more. So when you look at that, we are definitely in a crisis situation. Miss R. Maker, ML Roel, yes, we are. Charlotte, we are. If you couple that with what's going on with suicide, I wanted to just kind of look at that because the Illinois Department of Public Health talks about suicide. Now, suicide we know occurs when a person ends their life, but it is the 10th leading cause of death among Americans. And in Illinois alone, it's the 11th leading cause of death. Okay, it results in over 1,000 deaths a year. And look at this, for young adults between the ages of 15 to 34, suicide is the 3rd leading cause of death. Knowledge is power. Okay, you've got to have this knowledge so that you'll know what we're faced with and what we're working with. All right. So I asked Dr. Valentina to come in because I want to talk about how do we address this pandemic? How do we address this crisis? What can we do, Janelle, LaJewel, I see you, Cheryl, and Bayla. What can we do to overcome this? Dr. Valentina is a bi-ethnic, bilingual, board certified clinical psychologist. She has been on WVON. She has been on the Perry Small Show. She has been operating for many years. She works with children and teens. She works with families, and she really specializes in crisis management in children. ADHD, she can diagnose that. She has testing to see how your child is doing. I wanted to tell you a little bit about this e-learning. This e-learning is important now, because when we look at the e-learning, we have had to shift, and more than 1.2 billion children in 186 countries have been affected because the schools were closed. We've been forced to evolve into new formats and offer new models. So now, because of the pandemic, the online learning, instead of a nice to have, is now a need to have. Okay? So when we look at Dr. Valentina, you're going to be able to hear her, and she's going to be able to talk about this, but you may not be able to see her because we had a little issues with her camera, but we can hear her. So let's bring her on in, and I want to welcome you, Dr. Valentina Pacheco Cornejo. God bless you, and welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, good to hear your voice. I'm glad you are here. So can you address some of these issues that we have just spoken with? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. I think part of what's going on is that people are so, I think that they're overwhelmed with a change such that they've been forced into, as well as the constant like reminder, of something bad that's happening, that is starting to weigh on them psychologically, spiritually, I'm sure financially. And so I think this is part of why you are getting this increase in like suicidality. But really, I want to talk more about like what people can do to like manage this, like this crisis, because in the end, it's not necessarily what is going on, but how you're handling it.
Can you talk to me about, just tell me a little bit more about your background, Dr. Valentina?
So yes, I am a licensed clinical psychologist, born and raised in Chicago. Did my training here. I love the city and I love the people. And that's really what it's about. I love the people. They represent diversity. They represent, power. So yeah, did all of my training here. Got my doctorate in clinical psychology. So I have an IB as opposed to a PhD. So doctorate in psychology as opposed to a doctorate in philosophy with concentration in psychology. And yeah, I am really a general psychologist, meaning I can serve people across the age spectrum. That's my training. However, I thought extra board certification, which is what that ABIP is about, American Board of Professional Psychology, in clinical child and adolescent psychology, mainly because I really have a heart for children. I feel like it's easier to build, strong children like into men as opposed to fix broken men, mostly because children just, they have a heart to learn, they have a mind to learn, like they're still growing, so they're more malleable. Adults, you can penetrate change. It's just have to be motivated, and so, yeah, it was for that reason, as well as because a lot of my colleagues were like, I'd rather work with adults than work with children and teens, because to work with children means you got to work with systems, family systems, school systems, court systems, perhaps if there's some kind of DCFS involvement or divorce. And so I'm like, you know what, let me go ahead and really truly pursue the underserved, right? The disadvantaged, the ones that even my colleagues, the professionals, don't care to work with because of how quote unquote complicated they are. And so I saw extra board certification, which is something that psychologists aren't even required to do. This is something that usually if psychologists seek it, they're like towards retirement, like they're out the door pretty much.
Right. Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead. You're good. You're
So, and
good.
then that CMHIMP it stands for Certified Mental Health Integrated Medicine Provider. So that integrated medicine is really part of what is going to help people through this crisis, right? Like right now, a lot of people are considering exactly what the government is telling them, right? Which is this vaccine. But there's other alternative like ways to boost your immune system, protect against viruses. And so that's part of what I'm looking forward to talking about today. I think people need options.
Excellent. I do agree with you there. People do need options. We need to make sure that we are looking at everything, the grand scheme of things, the big spectrum, as many would say, the big picture. So I want to ask you, Dr. Valentina, can you give us some, considering I see Lori is on here, and listen, if you all have questions, please put them in the chat. We're going to have a time for question and answers at the end, and then we're also going to give Dr. Valentina's information out. She does see patients or clients at the Dan Care Center as well. You can also call. You can call me. We'll put all that information up again. Someone asked you, Dr. Valentina, can you repeat what the CMHIMPH stands for? And while you're doing that, I'm going to ask you to give us some coping mechanisms with this crisis.
Yes. Okay, so the CMHIMP stands for Certified Mental Health Integrated Medicine Provider. So basically, that's sort of learning how to use God's true foods, medicines, right? Like to heal, because in the end the body was meant to refurbish itself, right? Like heal itself. It wasn't meant to die at all. We're just cursed as a people for being disobedient, and limited to 120 years. But really the body isn't meant to go through the things it goes through. Basically we get problems, whether physical or emotional, and oftentimes the emotional impacts the physical, right? Because of what we're putting in our body, right? We have to protect the windows to our home, and the windows would be any access point. So it would your senses, right? The eyes, right? What you see. Okay, and this is going to get into your question, Dr. Darlene, or your request, as far as coping strategies. So what we see, right? What we allow ourselves to see. There's things we see that we shouldn't be seeing. That's why PTSD exists, post-traumatic stress disorder, right? Which is an anxiety disorder, right? It's because we are looking at things that we shouldn't be seeing. We're exposing ourselves to stuff that's not okay. Same thing with sight. With sound. I just did sound here. We're listening to things that we shouldn't be listening to, right? And so part of that isn't just music, right? Media. It's really other forms of media as well, which gets into all of this anxiety provoking information that we're getting. It is not helpful to us to know of every single COVID death that's out there. Like that has no bearing, right? Like the only like, I guess, motivation that it should have in our lives, the only purpose that it should have is causing us to want to like improve our immune system. But it's not like we're getting access to every airplane death crash or every car crash, or you see what I'm saying? Like if you all, I think that we would need another show for this other specific thing that I would love to share with you all, but I know today isn't enough time. If you all did the numbers, if you just look up how to calculate percentages, okay, and you look up the number of cases, positive cases, along with the number of deaths, and then get the percentage of that, you'd be like, oh, wow. Okay, my child has a higher chance of getting ADHD, okay, or autism. You see what I'm saying? So it's like we're stressing over something that feels to me like there's some kind of agenda or propaganda at the base of it. And because of the amount of exposure that we're getting, it's like they're like overwhelming us with this and that and this another that. And so I really.
So would it be safe to say, Dr. Valentina, that because we're hearing so much of what's going on, we're getting numbers. Would it be safe to say that that kind of adds to the stress and the crises that we're going through, do you think?
Definitely. And it's absolutely like people have developed anxiety disorders that don't even have a predisposition to anxiety. Like you shouldn't even having like anxiety doesn't has no place in your body, in your spirit. Like it literally makes no, you don't have a family history of it. You haven't suffered any kind of trauma. No family member has died, right? No friend has died from COVID or a virus. So and like it's like it just makes no sense for certain people. And yet they're developing anxiety disorders in part because they're what's entering their house, right, which is their spirit, through the senses, is too much. It's one after the other. I mean, you can't even get on social media without there being some kind of ad. Like this is real, okay? The propaganda, the I mean, it's like terrorizing. Like we're being terrorized. And what's tripped out is, and so I'm not saying let's not take this seriously. I'm gonna give you some stuff to do with that. What I'm saying is that you got to also protect yourselves, and as parents, you definitely got to protect your children, because if not, you're gonna be dealing with something extra, which is mental illness. Okay, even if it's an adjustment disorder, right? Like it's a temporary thing, an adjustment disorder with depressed mood or with anxious mood, or even in some children, it's like irritability and like anger, and they're talking back because their lives have been changed. They can't go to the park, like depending on who their parent, right? How much their parent is really responding to the level of information that they're getting. It's I mean, like people aren't going outside even on their porch.
Right. So, Dr. Valentina, tell me a little bit about, and I know we're going to get into some coping mechanisms. You all stay put. I see people are still coming in. Somebody said she had to stop watching MSNBC all day. That's Minister Amanda. Jennifer, stop studying the news. This is good. This is good. Jane, I see you. All of the bad news is bad for us. That's true. That's true. Demetria says we do need to stay safe. So there's a lot of interactivity going on. I know we can't see Dr. Valentina. That's why we keep putting her picture up. But I'm glad that she's on with us. But tell me a little bit, Dr. Valentina, about since the pandemic started, and you see clients on a daily basis. I know that. But since the pandemic started, would you say that the people that are reaching out for help are more younger people? Are they more middle-aged, single? What is the demographic of those that are reaching out? You're bilingual, you're bi-ethnic, so you see a lot of it in all places. But can you just share some of those stats without being too personal of what you're seeing and since the pandemic? What kind of clients are the demographics of those?
Right. Yes. So I would say actually everybody, across the age spectrum, people are reaching out, and of course, I'm really trying to like limit who I'm seeing. Like as far as just period, you have to have some kind of like cap, but yes, like adults, teens, children, there isn't one that's coming in more over the other. Like everybody is reaching out, and it is all connected to this situation. And I'm talking about, it may be anxiety related to it, it may be depression related to it, it could just be that their children are doing, like it could be more academic. If we're talking about children, that their grades are suffering. And I think this is why the city had to finally man up and stop, pushing the extending, I should say, the deadline of when they were gonna resume virtual learn, like hybrid learning, when they were going to start the hybrid learning. So that's finally going to happen, because you all know it was March, then it was April, then it was May, then it was like, okay, we'll see you in September. Then all of a sudden it was, so here we are at, I think, February. But yeah, so it's across the age spectrum. People are, in the end, they're people. So it doesn't, I don't think age matters. Like they're suffering in the same way. And so coping strategies would be protect, what you're like letting yourself see, what you're like listening to, what you're letting your children listen to, is definitely like what you're putting in your body as well. So I want people to be very mindful of the fact that, like, for example, people, CMOS has been big, right? Like a lot of people have been talking about CMOS, and it's for a good reason. Same thing with black seed oil and oregano oil. So I'm going to give you just a little bit of information on each of them. That's going to take a couple seconds. So black seed oil has numerous uses, including to treat asthma and to aid in weight loss, and as well as improving the immune system. So that's like real. People, it's something that you have to share this information with each other on social media, and then of course you get like this real media versus people made media, but that's not true. It's not that the government media, government controlled media is more powerful or more accurate. It's just that you're hearing it more, and they know that the more you hear something, this is straight psychology, right? Like the more you hear something, the more you believe it. You start to actually question your own values because you hear it so much that you're like, man, maybe there's something to that. So no, it's just truth is truth, whether you hear it once or 1,000 times. Okay, so that was black seed oil. CMOS has studies have actually demonstrated its usefulness in treating diseases like cancer and Alzheimer's disease, as well as, again, improving the immune system. So there's lots of impacts to these things. Like it's just not going to help with immune system. It's going to help with even cancer, because cancers occur, when your immune system is compromised, and it gets compromised by stress, by way of stress. So we really have to protect ourselves. Like in the end, to me, it's spiritual health impacts emotional health / relational and social health, which then has implications on your physical health. This is why when people go to the medical doctor and say, hey, I'm dealing with like some heart, they thinking it's heart issues. They found out, no, it's a panic attack. Like you're dealing with a panic. You just had a panic attack. Okay. There's no physical disease that's going on. It's all mental right now, but it can morph into a true physical. And that's the same with hypertension. They call it high blood pressure hypertension. We call it anxiety. Okay. It's the same thing, and then this is another thing that people really need to know. And actually Facebook, which was something for the first time, Facebook actually, what is it called when they put you in jail? That's what people say. You was in Facebook jail. I was so shocked. I was so hurt, because I'm like, I thought that this was a free platform where people had access to each other as well as to sharing information, right? Like no one can say, like no one can judge whether or not what you say, some platform, I should say, can't judge. Like people are the judge. And so I found out that wild oregano Mediterranean oil. Okay, so wild organic oregano, right, from the Mediterranean, actually has been studied. Okay, the preliminary results were released so that people wouldn't have to wait until the study was, like entered into a journal article. But basically what they found was that for some people who were infected with COVID, right, who had COVID, if they had this wild oregano oil, this Mediterranean oregano oil, some people immediately was able to regain their sense of taste and smell, while other people, it took 24 hours. The most it took was 5 days. Like we're not getting access to this kind of information. And this was, I literally just posted the study's title, okay, like in the on Facebook, and they totally took took it down and told me that it violated their community standards.
Oh, wow. You got put in Facebook jail, Dr. Valentina?
I could not believe it. I said, this is true. And what's interesting is I'm telling you all things that I actually practice myself. I'm not just telling you something that I read in a book. Okay. I'm telling you stuff that I know is accurate. And so, especially with this oregano oil, previously, it was that they was studying, they was infecting it in human cell tissue, and so it was, so they couldn't say like, truly, we know that this would work in a body. They just knew that it was like, there was affiliation with the that was really cool. I'm like, let me tell you, and I'm telling you, since March, I haven't been sick with common cold. My baby haven't been.
Wow. So let me ask you this. This is so good, Dr. Valentina. I am so elated and grateful. You all make sure that you go to dancarecenter.com com, because there you can actually sign up if you want to see her. If you want to make an appointment with Dr. Valentina, you can do that on the website. But Dr. Valentina also has her own website, and you can see a little bit more about her if you look at her own website, which is Dr. Valentina, say your website for me once more.
It is Dr. Valentina 5D. So that would be the Dr. Dr. Valentina, my name right there on the screen, and then PsyD is my credentials, the PSY.com.
Valentina, Dr. Valentina, and then PSY.com.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yes.
I'm putting that up there now so everybody can see that. So you can go to Dr. Valentina, PSY.com. You can go to her website directly. But if you are on here and you want to make an appointment with her, I want you to go to Dan. I'm going to write this in here. Dan Care Center. It is on the screen. Dan Care Center, DanCarecenter.com. And right on the lower right hand side, you'll see a picture of Dr. Valentina. And when you see her picture, then you'll be able to click on it, sign your information, and you'll be able to come in and see her. She is still taking clients, both. I want to say you're taking them both in person as well as tele. Is that correct, doctor?
Yep.
Okay, you're doing
telehealth. Could be phone or it could be video, whichever people prefer.
Excellent. So it can be phone, it can be video, so you can do that. So here, Doctor has given some amazing, Doctor, I hope you all are hearing me. Dr. Valentina has given some amazing tips about the oils that you can take, limiting your exposure to the TV, to the news. Take a few days off and don't look at the stats and all of that. It's not talk therapy. It's not art therapy. This is actually clinical psychology therapy. This is like going to see a therapist. Mama Moses asked, do you do art therapy or talk therapy? I'm sure within her repertoire of things that she uses, she incorporates, but I don't think she incorporates art therapy or talk therapy. If I'm wrong, Dr. Valentina, you can correct me.
Yes.
Okay.
So really, in the end, psychology is technically talk therapy, right? Because it's involving the talking, the exploring, like what you've gone through, how it's impacted your life, providing you with strategies. The specific interventions that I use is inspired by both person-centered therapy and cognitive behavior therapy, the CBT, the art therapy, play therapy. Yes, that's all incorporated in it. Basically, I don't think that it's therapy is a one-size-fits-all. I believe that people are very complicated and that they are the expert on their own experiences. I'm just the expert on human behavior. So we work together in whatever methods are needed. I mean, there's some people where we walk as we do therapy because they've been through so much trauma. They need to, in a sense, like have some physical movement, like activity, which includes walking. And that gets into the next coping strategy. Like there are so many articles, okay, on the power of exercise. Exercise itself is a natural antidepressant. And actually what the research says is that you don't have to like have weights for you to release endorphins, which is that feel good hormone, right? That we need. You know, that's what some people get when they drink. That's what people get when they have intercourse. Like, right, there's people do whatever they got to do, unfortunately, right, to feel good. But really there are some healthy, right, strategies. That's why I say unfortunately, because some are very unhealthy and not okay. And there's others that are like effective, that are God-given. That would be exercise, and that would be talking to other people. That's why even these recommendations on social distancing, now they're trying to say, because we done got on them, psychology, mental health professionals have got on them. So now they're saying, what they saying instead of they changed it, physical distancing instead of social, because we're like, dude, like what? We're social beings. Like we have to be with each other. And what's the point of wearing a mask and being 6 feet apart if you can't be in the same space with somebody? Like, you see, like it wasn't making no kind of sense. So physical exercise, seriously, it's for some people it's walking, for some people actually it needs to be like running or lifting weights. It just depends on you. That's what I'm saying, like about people being so complicated. It's not a a one size fits all, but what we can say is that exercise is effective. That's the same with sleep, by the way. There are teenagers who think that they need the same amount of hours of sleep as adults. They say 8 hours, and I'm like, for real? Like, well, then how many do you need as an adult? 5? Like, no. Adults need 8 hours. Children need, it says, the research says between 9 and 11 if they're school age, which would include teenagers, right? 5 to 17, 18. You need 9 to 11. So what I do is say, let's meet smack dab in the middle. Depending on your history, maybe, we can negotiate 9 hours. But in the end, you should be getting, no less than 9 hours as a school age person and no less than 8 as an adult. That really matters. As a matter of fact, I want you all to really hear this, because this could help motivate you, and it could also help motivate your children when you're talking to them about, hey, okay, tonight is a new day. You're going to bed on time in preparation for next week when you got school, when you return to school. So plaque builds on the brain the way it builds on your teeth. Okay, but we can't brush our brain with the toothbrush, right? So how do you brush your brain? How do you get the plaque off? You sleep. That's brushing. Sleeping is the equivalent of brushing your brain the way you would brush your teeth. Okay, and that's how you get these people who are very well educated and yet they develop Alzheimer's disease. We were taught that you get Alzheimer's disease when you don't do crossword puzzles, and you know what I'm saying, when you don't basically
Right.
No.
Oh my God. You know what? I got to stop you, Dr. Valentina. Wow. Now you know what? That was noteworthy. Everybody needs to write that down. You should make that, you should pin that, you should put that on your wall. Plaque builds up in your brain just as plaque builds up on your teeth. You can't brush your brain like you can brush your teeth, but the way that you get the plaque off of your brain is to get enough sleep. Because then that makes sure that your brain cells are healthy, and that I guess it reduces, if you will, your exposure to things such as Alzheimer's and dementia. Is that good, Dr. Valentin? Did I say it right?
Girl, you said it so good. I literally felt the whole spirit. Like, I literally felt, I'm serious. Because sometimes, see, I'm the one always educating people, but sometimes, like, to hear it, right? Right? What is it? What does the word say? That knowledge comes by way of hearing. It's something about, like, freedom.
Yeah, hear the word, right? You got to hear it and then do it. Come on, doctor. Yes, this is good. I love this. I love this.
And think about it. Even when you think about like remembering the Sabbath day and keeping it holy, like he selected a day for us to not to rest, to not work the way he did. He's an example. He's not the daddy that's smoking and then saying don't smoke to deal with, to deal with anxiety or stuff. He's telling you, he's the example. He's not smoking and he's telling you not to smoke, and he's but also telling you how to, so like literally all of this resting, like this is real. Like, we need this. This is no joke. That's the problem with these professionals, medical and mental health. They tell you all this stuff, but they're not necessarily telling you the why. And that's why I tell, when I'm dealing with families, I'm like, when you're talking to your babies and you telling them why they need to do something, you better be able to explain it. If you can't explain it, then you got to figure out if what you're saying is even accurate, because you might just be passing down tradition, lies. Come on, I mean, this is real. Like, this is real. Like, we talking about changing lives here, okay? This is, I mean, and think about even your calling, okay? It's like, what are you put here to do? Why was you made right now? Like, you can manage this situation, crisis. We look at who our daddy is, okay? The Father is our dad. Like, for real? Like, are you serious? Come on. Faith without works is dead. We got to have faith and we have work. Let's educate ourselves and let's take his medicine, his truth. Come on, because in the end of this medical industry, that's drugs. If we tell the truth, we're talking about drugs and chemicals, toxins versus medicine. And one day we need to have a talk on even this ADHD stuff, because y'all gonna be like, whoa, like, wait, for real? There's a chance my child doesn't have ADHD? Or wait, you said there's an actual cure for ADHD?
Come on.
Let's do this. Come
on. Okay. All right. You're doing good, Doc. Doc, you're coming through. You are, if you want to, I love you. Thank you so much. We're going to get to some questions because we just have a few more minutes left. Dr. Camelia, if you could take off that, I just put another from Jennifer Elias. She said, yes, me too. If you could take that off the screen, that would be great. But I want to tell you, Dr. Valentina, we have her website. If you want to make an appointment, you're going to go to dancarecenter.com. All right, you're going to make your appointment. She's going to see you. She's doing the telehealth visits. She's doing physical visits as well as visits on the phone. I did want to ask you, doctor, someone said, do you take Blue Cross Blue Shield? I don't know if you take insurances.
That's a wonderful question. So I'm actually working to be in network with Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO. Otherwise, I would then be considered an out-of-network provider if you have like HMO, or if you have like Aetna and United and, Cigna. But what I'm noticing is that majority of my clients have those insurances, and yet they're being covered at minimum 60%, or even some people 100%. So minimum 60% is like in-person visits. What I'm noticing is that the insurance companies are covering clients at 100%, even for out-of-network services, because number one, we're in this situation, and number two, a lot of their providers who are in network have waiting lists of at least 6 months. So this is almost the insurance's way of, making up for the lack of providers.
Okay. So I wanted to talk about, hopefully I'm unmuted. Okay. I wanted to talk about, you're talking about the types of therapy that you do, and someone talked about play therapy, talk therapy. You talked about person-centered therapy. I'm working on my degree in that. That's my specialty, person-centered therapy. You also talked about, that's where the person is the center, and to help them get their own solutions, you work with them. Cognitive behavior therapies, your behaviors, your actions, what do you think about it? And then solution-oriented therapy. Do you focus on solution-oriented as well, or are you more of a person-centered or therapy doctor?
I literally integrate it all. I integrate it all, because even when I was saying, how people are complicated and for one size does not fit all, so that this person may respond better to CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, but this person might be more of a person-centered, right? It's just kind of like when I was growing up, right? I was the child who needed her whooping, okay? I'm just going to be real. Now, my sister was the child who my mama could look at her. Come on. All right. I see you, Star. She could look at her and then my sister break down in tears. So you see, it just depends, on the person's personality style, and really there's some people that they might need a combination, right, of CBT and person-centered or play therapy with, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's age specific, sometimes it's even situation specific, because people don't typically come in for one situation. I mean, every once in a while you get a person who just comes in for grief and loss, and so that's a very straightforward thing. But some people come in for multiple things, and so I might approach this thing from this therapeutic perspective and this one from this one.
Okay, very good. All right, we've got about 15 more minutes. I want to take some questions. So as you put your questions on the screen, I'm going to read them off, and then that way we can allow Dr. Valentina to address those questions. So put any question that you have on the screen. Okay, do you accept Medicaid? Does that fall into the same bucket?
It does.
Okay.
Same exact bucket. So it would be, I would have you call your insurance company and just ask, hey, what are my out-of-network benefits? And then they will tell you, okay, you got to pay 60% or you got to pay 70% versus it being 100% cover. I mean, not that they will cover it at a 60-70% rate. That you'd have to then pay the other percentage. But again, some companies are actually going ahead and they're paying 100% if it's virtual, or even if it's in person, but their providers aren't available. They have a huge waiting list.
Okay, very good. So we've got that. We've got the Medicaid question. Someone asked about, and I want to say, Blessed Lady said I might have to come to Chicago. from the East Coast. Yeah, because one thing I love about Dr. Good evening, Carolyn Sams. Good afternoon. I'm glad you're on here, Carolyn Sams. She had some tragedy. We're talking about crises. She's lost some people. She lost her daughter, and she's really struggling with that. So, Carolyn, stay on. We're almost done, but we're talking about how to manage these crises that we're going through. And so we're talking about how to deal with that. Dr. Valentina has given some amazing tips. She's talked about exercise, sea moss, oregano oil, black seed oil, limiting exposure to the news, getting enough sleep. These are things that can assist you with getting to a better place in where you are. So thank you, Dr. Carolyn Sams. Thank you, Dr. Valenta. We've got a question from Mama Moses. How do you help a person that lives with chronic pain or cancer? How do you help them? What kind of strategies can you give if they're living with chronic pain or cancer?
Okay, so there's actually a research study that speaks to the fact that you can use certain organic foods, and they even take out they even they just they say no water. So there's a lot of juices, organic fruits that are juiced, they organic foods, and then they even take out the utensils. I don't know if that's aluminum, metal. I don't know what that is that we use on a regular basis, but they don't use that. They use like wood, like how there's wood spoons and big ones to toss salads and stuff so. I would definitely first of all want to connect you to a psychologist that's more of a health psychologist, because this is their expertise as it relates to how to help you deal with pain. Otherwise I would just be otherwise I would just be thinking about the foods, okay, we gotta clean you up, because in the end Dr. Sebi says that cancer comes by way of mucus buildup. And so then you got to think of, well, what foods cause mucus, right? Because again, it's all about what you put in your body that makes you vulnerable. And sometimes it's even, I've learned that even some of these vaccines come with ingredients that actually is cancer causing. They use a lot of animals when it comes to cell tissues and stuff. It's really odd. People think they're vegan and there's pig stuff, in the vaccines they take. And so you just never know. It could be the food that we're eating. It could be the vaccines that we're getting. I would start with the foods because I think that that's much more, right? Logical.
Yeah. Okay. Someone asked, and I take, and this is actually for me as well. I take a multivitamin. I take vitamin C. I take biotin, and I also take elderberry every night before. I take it every day. I take it every day. Someone asked, is elderberry a good vitamin to take?
It is. The only thing is you want to make sure that everything you're getting is organic. Okay, so just a quick little lesson in organic. If the food isn't organic, it means that it's either non-GMO or it's GMO. So GMO stands for genetically modified organism. That means that it's been modified, somehow they got the seed and it modified it, and there's implications to that. There's negative implications. They're messing with your stuff in the lab. I don't know why they're doing. What is the problem? I mean, usually the love of money is at the root of all evil. So that's all we can come up with, right? But so if it's non-GMO, then that means it's in the ground, it stayed in the ground. This is real food, but it's been sprayed with so many pesticides. Some people say 30 some pesticides are sprayed. I mean, and they have to keep increasing the number of pesticides to keep the bugs off of the foods, right? Because the bugs are even becoming super bugs. They're learning how to adapt. I mean, they got to eat and survive too. So all to keep a mark off your food, they're spraying it. I'll take a mark, if it means that I'm not going to then develop some kind of cancer because of the number of chemicals that I'm putting in my body. You know what I'm saying? And so,
okay.
It needs to be organic.
Okay. What about zinc? What about zinc?
Zinc is another really good thing that, I mean, it's really all of these foods have like really good implications on immunity. Everything that's being brought up, immune system. So it's like it's really good. The only thing is some of these vitamins need to be coupled. I think zinc and copper is one of those where if you're taking zinc, you then might need to do copper because it's kind of like calcium and vitamin D where they work together, they feed off of each other. If you know, in order for one to work, you need the other one, and if you don't have the other one, then you can have an excess of one, and then that could have side effects. So you really want to talk to like there's a like somebody who really, when you're buying this stuff, somebody who really knows their stuff. There's this health food store that I go to that carry really good products, and so if you live not too far from it, you may want to go there. It's called Southtown Health Food Stores. It's not too far from Top Notch. A lot of people know Top Notch Burgers. So it's literally a couple doors down, called Southtown Health Food Stores, and it's literally on 95th Street between Western and Damon. They carry great products, and it seems like all of their staff members know their stuff. I don't know how the owner trains them, but she be having, I mean, they be knowing their stuff. So,
Yeah, I go there a lot, doctor. I go there a lot, especially when we're getting ready to do, those of us that are getting ready to fast, those of us that are getting ready to start our fast, we're doing nothing but vegetables, and we're doing the Daniel fast and things like that. You can go there, get all your drinks, get your vegetables, get your fruit, get everything. It's organic, it's clean, it's good, healthy food. So I would suggest if you're going to pick them up, go to Southtown. It can be a little expensive, but it is worth it because this is your body and you want to take care of it. Amen. Valette says she went there by accident. All right, let me see if we have maybe one or two more questions, and then we will get ready to close. I'm so excited. Again, those of you, as you're putting your questions in, if you have any questions for myself, for Dr. Valentina, again, this is Dr. Valentina Pacheco Cornejo. I hope I said it right. Okay. She's bilingual. She's by ethnic. She is a board certified clinical psychologist, and you can make an appointment to see her. Go to dancarecenter.com and you can make your appointment. She has her website. You can look on her website as well and just follow her. She is an amazing. Not only is she board certified, educated. She's a mother. She's a wife, but she's a Christian. And that's one of the reasons that I was so excited to have her on today, because she is a Christian. So, all right. Someone said, what if your legs keep hurting? And then someone else asked about alkaline water. So what do you do for your legs in terms of healthy foods and things? And then alkaline water, is that okay for you? And turmeric. So turmeric, alkaline water, and legs keep hurting. What do you say?
So this is getting a little bit outside of my scope of practice. But what I would say is first of all, alkaline water is huge. Like, cancer is at the if you look at an alkaline chart, right, you're going to see that like 16, I think, is the highest number, and that's alkaline. And then you're going to see that like 0 is where cancer exists. That's acid. Okay. And so in the end, you want to like get up there. You want to increase your alkaline. And the way you do that, you got to do a search. You could even go on Dr. Sebi's website. But just even if you do a regular online search for alkaline products, you're going to find that like those regular bananas that we eat are not like this. It's the little miniature bananas that are alkaline. You're going to find that there's alkaline water, and that, I mean, like it's not lemons, it's limes. Like, right, lemons, I think there's certain foods that are actually man-made. People pushing broccoli, and that's man-made. Like, you really, like, y'all are asking really good questions. You got to do the searches online, figure out what's alkaline, because to alkaline your body is to like cleanse it of anything that could then result in cancer. But you also got to, of course, monitor, how much you put in, like, how much processed foods you put in your body. We were healthier back then, I think, because our parents were like cooking our meals, because we were cooking our meals. Now everything's convenient. All of this fat, like this life is not for us. We got to be in the world, but not of it. We can't adopt their principles. You know what I'm saying? And so getting at like when Dr. Darlene answered the questions about what she does, let me answer that for myself. So I drink alkaline water, which I get from Whole Foods. It's literally $1 for a gallon, which is very reasonable. And it's at a 10, I want to say it's at 10.5, something like that, 9.5, 10. So that's pretty good, because if you get the bottled water, then just regular Ice Mountains, Asani, all of that nonsense is like 6. Okay. The alkaline level is 6. So you're thinking, oh, I'm getting my water in, but it's like everything right now is so fake in this country. Like the fact that they have to label the foods organic. Food in general should be organic. They should be labeling it when it's GMO, when it's crap, right? But it's the opposite. Everything is a big conflict of interest. You got to be careful, like to read ingredients. The rule of if you can't spell it, it doesn't. Then you shouldn't be putting it in. I mean, if you can't read it, pronounce it, then you shouldn't be putting it in your body. That's pretty real. Like so I do multivitamins, straight organic by Garden of Life. Okay, I do, and it requires me to take 3 a day. I do the alkaline water. I do flax seeds, because flax seeds, I put the ground flax seed on my food, and it basically makes sure that whatever I'm eating whatever I don't need, it washes out. If you're not having a bowel movement at least once a day, preferably twice a day, then you definitely got to start checking your water intake. Like you got to start checking the foods you eating, like even biblically speaking, like we got to take out pork. That's not our food. Like that's not our food. They're promoting lobsters and oysters and all of that nonsense, them bugs. Like that is not our food. Like you see what I'm saying? Like there's certain things that like we can't do, or else we're gonna have these experiences. There's
Yeah,
like
yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you, Doctor, it has been an amazing show. I want to thank you so much for your time. I'm going to put your information up one more time so that if you want to reach Dr. Valentina, she is Dr. Valentina M. Pacheco Cornejo. She is a clinical psychologist. She's a board certified psychologist. She is available to see you, your family, children. She can diagnose. She gives us great tips on how to stay healthy, how to manage this crisis. And I have appreciated your time of sharing, and I pray that you all will sign up and meet her. While she doesn't take many insurances, one thing I do know about Dr. Valentina is she will work with you with regards to your visits and your payments, and it is worth it. The Bible lets us know that there's a good thing in the multitude of counselors. There's safety in the multitude of counselors. So if you have counseling, I don't want you to think it's a bad thing to go through counseling or to have counseling. It's not a bad thing at all. It's actually a very good thing. So Dr. Valentina, I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate you. Next time we'll be able to see your face, but we did put a beautiful picture up of you so everybody knows what you look like. We gave everybody your information, and on behalf of Dan Ministries, I want to tell you that I thank you. Did you want to have some last remarks before we close?
Yes. One quick thing. I appreciate you just reminding people that there is no stigma to mental health except the lie that is created. I think that it was purposefully set up that way to make those who go to therapy feel like there's something wrong with them, because right, the enemy is a liar, right? So what he did was he deceived, and he said the opposite of what's true. He knows that this is where people will get their breakthrough, because or at least when you integrate it, it's when you integrate spirituality into therapy that makes it effective. Okay, when you're just doing it regular, now you just some other secular, you like anything else. But if you integrate spirituality into therapy, it's the truth. In the end, you find yourself not having, like, you're able to deal with everything, so yeah. I'm glad that you said that, because people need to be reminded that everything else that they've been taught was a lie.
My God, my God. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You are something else. I love you, love you, love you. All right, well, listen, everybody. Thank you for joining. We'll put Dr. Valentina's information up again. If you want to get in touch with her, go to dancarecenter.com. Go all the way down to the middle of the screen. And on the right-hand side, you'll see her beautiful picture. All you need to do is click on that link, and you can sign up to make an appointment with her. Again, this is from the Dan Care Center. You can also go to her at Dr. Valentina PSYD.com. I think that's it. Dr. Valentina PSY.com. All right, so you can do that. And then I think there is another, if you want to get in touch with me, you all know how to get in touch with me. Go to the dancarecenter.com or go to danministries.com, and I'm always here and always available. Thank you, Pastor Latasha, Evangeline, Shirley. I see you all in the room, and it has been an amazing time of sharing. So thank you so very much. She is on Facebook as well as Instagram. Okay, she is on Facebook as well as Instagram. So you all follow her. You all follow me, and we're going to try and do more things like this. Tasha, I see you. Tasha Cook is here. Armika, you guys have been simply amazing. So, Lord, we thank you for this time that we have shared today. We thank you. We love you. We appreciate you, and we adore you. And God, we thank you now for what you've already done. We thank you for the wisdom that you've instilled within us through this amazing woman of God. Thank you that you've allowed me to partner with her, and we're going to make sure that your people receive the knowledge that they need to promote healing and wholeness. So God, we give you all the praise. We give you all the glory. We give you all the honor in the mighty and matchless name of Jesus. Amen and amen. All right. You guys know I will be back on tomorrow morning at 7:15. We will probably be praying on Thursday instead of Friday because Friday is the holiday. But thank you so much for joining. Go to dancarecenter.com. Do that right away. Make your appointment, okay, so that you can see Dr. Valentina. She is taking telehealth appointments. She's also seeing you physically at the Dan Care Center, and she has another office, and then she is doing phone appointments as well. Okay. All right. I love you with the love of Jesus. Always remember, whatever you do and wherever you are, blessed ladies. I can say all your names: Glenda, Evangeline, Carolyn Sands. I pray that you're blessed. Go back and look at it again. Let me tell you that one tip that I learned one more time, just for you all going, just for those of you that have just joined. Just one more time, I want to tell you what Dr. Valentina said. She said your brain builds up plaque just like your teeth build up plaque. Okay, you cannot brush your brain. You can brush your teeth to get the plaque off, but you can't brush your brain. But what you can do is get enough sleep. Get enough sleep. That's like brushing your brain. And when you do that, you'll be less susceptible to things such as Alzheimer's and dementia. Oh my God. Did God bless us with that? I don't know about you, but that blessed me. All right. I love you with the love of Jesus. Until next time, always remember, whatever you do and wherever you are, Dan Ministries loves you. We care about your future. It's an amazing future. It's an awesome future. And it's always our endeavor